What if some of the foods sitting in your kitchen right now are quietly increasing your cancer risk? Not in one day, not overnight, but slowly, over years. Today, we're uncovering 14 common foods that major research institutions have repeatedly linked to higher cancer risk, and some of them might surprise you. By understanding which foods are most consistently linked to higher risk, you can make small and realistic changes that support long-term health. Let's begin. The first and most well-established category is processed meat. Processed meats include bacon, hot dogs, sausages, salami, pepperoni, and deli meats. The World Health Organization classifies processed meats as a confirmed cancer-causing category, meaning there is strong evidence that frequent intake increases the risk of colorectal cancer. Large human studies show that the more often people eat these foods, the higher the risk becomes over time. Food number 2 is red meat. Red meat includes beef, pork, lamb, and goat. Research reviewed by the National Cancer Institute suggests that heavy red meat intake, especially when cooked at very high temperatures, is associated with increased colorectal cancer risk. Grilling, frying, and charring can form compounds that may damage genetic material over time. Food number 3 is ultra-processed packaged snacks. These include chips, crackers, packaged pastries, instant noodles, and many shelf-stable snack foods. A large study published in a major medical journal found that higher consumption of ultra-processed foods was associated with increased overall cancer risk. These foods often contain refined ingredients and additives that may promote inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Food number 4 is sugary drinks. This includes soda, sweetened juices, energy drinks, and flavored coffee beverages loaded with sugar. Research from Harvard shows that frequent intake of sugar-sweetened drinks is strongly associated with metabolic disease, and obesity remains one of the strongest known cancer risk factors worldwide. Food number 5 is refined carbohydrates. White bread, pastries, sugary cereals, and many processed breakfast foods fall into this category. These foods can contribute to repeated spikes in blood sugar. Over time, high insulin levels and chronic inflammation create conditions that may support cancer development. Before we continue, here is something important. Many people assume the highest risks come from rare or extreme foods, but some of the strongest evidence actually points to things that are socially normal and widely accepted. The next few items fall into that category. Food number 6 is alcohol. According to the American Cancer Society and the World Health Organization, alcohol is a known risk factor for cancers of the breast, liver, colon, mouth, throat, and digestive tract. What surprises many people is that risk increases with consistency over time. Even moderate intake can raise risk in the long term. When your body processes alcohol, it turns it into a toxic substance that can damage genetic material. Food number 7 is fried fast food. This is where frequency matters. Occasional intake is different from habitual intake. French fries, fried chicken, fried snacks, and deep-fried convenience foods are often cooked in industrial oils at high heat. This can increase stress inside the body at a cellular level. Diets high in fried and ultra-processed foods are consistently linked with higher levels of chronic inflammation. Food number 8 is heavily charred or burnt foods. When meats are cooked at extremely high temperatures, harmful chemicals can form on the surface. Laboratory studies show these compounds can cause genetic damage, and population research suggests similar patterns in humans when these foods are eaten frequently. Food number 9 is smoked and cured foods. Smoked meats, smoked fish, and certain cured products can introduce cancer-linked compounds during the smoking process. Frequent intake has been associated with higher stomach and colorectal cancer risk in multiple population studies. Food number 10 is foods cooked until overly browned or crisp. Certain starchy foods, when cooked at very high heat, can form compounds that researchers continue to study for possible cancer risk. Food number 11 is processed sweets and desserts. Packaged cookies, candy, donuts, cakes, and sugary desserts contribute to excess sugar and unhealthy fats. This increases obesity and metabolic dysfunction, both of which strongly influence cancer risk over time. Food number 12 is processed breakfast meats. Commercial bacon, sausage patties, and processed breakfast sandwiches fall into the same processed meat category. Frequent intake is linked with higher colorectal cancer risk in long-term studies. Food number 13 is heavily packaged foods. Some packaged and canned foods may expose people to chemicals that may interfere with hormones due to certain plastic linings. These are still being studied for their potential role in hormone-related cancers. Reducing reliance on heavily packaged foods is generally considered a smart precaution. Reducing reliance on heavily packaged foods is generally considered a smart precaution. Food number 14 is highly processed meat substitutes. Not all plant-based foods are automatically healthy. Some meat alternatives rely heavily on additives, refined oils, and artificial ingredients. Major health research institutions note that diets centered around minimally processed plant foods are generally associated with lower cancer risk compared with diets high in processed replacements. Now here is the most important takeaway. Cancer risk is not about one single food. It is about long-term patterns. Most people focus on dramatic health changes, but research consistently shows that small, repeated habits have the greatest long-term impact. The strongest evidence points toward limiting processed meats, reducing ultra-processed foods, avoiding excess alcohol and sugary drinks, and building meals around whole, minimally processed foods. A diet rich in vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and healthy fats is repeatedly associated with lower cancer risk across major long-term studies. And here is something empowering. Many cancer risk factors are modifiable, which means your daily choices matter more than you might think. Now I'm curious, which of these foods surprised you the most? And which one would be hardest for you to reduce? Share your thoughts in the comments. Stay informed, stay balanced, and take care of your health with intention.